Okay, I'm trying to keep this quick. I just seen went to the movies, cinema, silver. Is it silver cinema? Silver cinema, something something. But anyway, it's a movie theater that's only like a block away from here. It's usually inside the malls, and I'm here in Thailand. So the way the movie theaters work here in Thailand is you can buy like a sofa, or you can buy an individual seat, or you can buy a bed. They have like little lounge beds or loungers. Those go for I'm say between 1,500 and 200 baht. 200 baht ain't shit. Like 1,500, that's like $30, $40, something like that. Still, it's a little for a film. It's a little pricey, but if you're on vacation, I mean, it's worth it. If you got you a baddie from one of the finer adult establishments, it's worth it. If you came from with your significant other, it's worth it. You know, if making it, especially if you've seen something like John Wick, something like Endgame, something like you know it's gonna be fire. It's a long film, you know what I'm saying? And you're a movie enthusiast, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it. I like movies. I like being comfortable. I like those movies that force you to sit upright. The seat don't have any give, and you're essentially sitting on a semi-metal frame. But that's neither here nor there. I went to go see Evil Dead Rise. Now I have seen the original Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of the Dead. I've seen Ash. Is it Ash and the Evil Dead as far as the Netflix series or the Stars mini series that lasted about 3-4 seasons, which was hilarious, by the way. I've seen the reboot remake of the Evil Dead that came out, was it 2013, 2012, 2013? That was PG-13. It's like, how you gonna make an Evil Dead movie and it be PG-13? Like, come on. I know you trying to get that you trying to get that audience that goes to the movies, but in reality, older people go to the movies. Younger people pirate movies. Let's just be real. You know? Anywho, but yeah, so I saw Evil Rise of the Evil Dead or Evil Dead Rise. So the beginning of the film was a nicely built Nordic cabin, and I guess they did the industry's reverse stinger. You know, they put the continuation on the beginning of the film, so you don't have to wait 7 to 10 minutes after the film actually ends to see a stinger or whatever. So they put the stinger at the beginning, or just, I don't know, maybe they're just trying to be different, just something a little different. But essentially, it leaves it like it could be a sequel, or they could just be being artistic and just showing you, or maybe they tried to pitch a trilogy or a sequel, or at least multiple films, and the studio probably shut them down. So they put the stinger that was initially intended for the end of the film, like post credits, in the beginning of the film. And honestly, it's different. It's refreshing. I mean, but it also has to make sense. And in this case, it makes sense because you're trying to figure out, well, who the fuck is this person, and how does this relate to these people, and da da da. So, anywho, so there is really not much to say or to talk about, because if I say too much, it's gonna be spoilers, and I don't want to spoil this film for anybody, because you want to be able to enjoy the film. Like, some people can listen to spoilers and they not be affected, but for me, the enjoyment I got from this film was just not knowing what was going to happen and how they were going to translate, the lore of the Evil Dead universe that I know, that I'm familiar with, to whatever story that they're trying to tell. Now, I'm not a critic professionally. I'm not a super duper lore buff. I'm not a nerd that goes into the deep cut backstory. I haven't read any of the associated comic books or extended media for this. I just know the 3 films and the series. And I love Sam Raimi. I love the actor that plays, Ash. Like, I love that guy. He's probably racist as shit. I don't know if he's racist as shit. I'm just saying, even if he was racist as shit, I would still love the dude because he just seems like he's that fucking cool. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, so this movie opens up like, again, with the stinger at the beginning of the film, and it kind of throws you off. Like it's just shocking. It's like the first 5 minutes of the film is like, what like what's going on? And then they fucking back up, and then they back up, and then it's like, okay, all right, so where does this begin at? Because it begins like any normal movie. Like, nothing, like, how does this family even get a hold or get on to the book or whatever? And they said something interesting. They said that this particular book is one of many volumes, so that even leaves it kind of open for them to say, like, the book in the original series is one volume, this book is another volume, and they can do a whole nother type deal to say, oh, this is another volume of the book, and the books get progressively worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, the levels of hell, they could potentially just get progressively worse, where Ash's volume was more comedic, and those demons were like level 1 demons, and this book is like level 2 demons. And if they just want to go to an X rating, like, they give the franchise to A24 and just let them go ham. You know what I'm saying? And that could be like the ultimate level of hell demons. Like, you're damn near fighting devil deadites type of thing. Or maybe they'll just save it for a video game. I don't know. Who knows? But I mean, it's an interesting concept. It's a way of canonizing but not canonizing the other Evil Dead stuff. So I mean, I appreciated that. And then you have this family unit, and people were saying like, oh yeah, the kids weren't intolerable. The kids were like cool. The kids to me were still annoying. They were still your generic annoying teenagers. Hey, don't do this. Well, I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm an angsty teen. I'm a rebellious teen. I'm gonna do it anyway. It's like, nah, bro. And granted, like, he had good intentions, but still, like, I understand, like, suspension of disbelief. It wasn't too far out, because if you're grounded in reality, you're grounded in real world. You're atheist, so you don't believe in God and devils and demons. You're just trying to make a quick buck. Like, oh, this could potentially be worth money, so it makes sense. Like, the plot makes sense. It's not nothing super duper outlandish. Like, you find this random book in this random cabin, or better yet, this random laboratory in this random mansion, and and chaos ensues because you press a button, and I mean, everything is like within reason, and especially given that you're talking supernatural stuff. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the gore and the blood. I appreciate the very subtle nods of the camera work, the classic Sam Raimi camera work. And shout out to the male. I hope it. I don't know if it's a male or a girl or a non-binary, but you got like young Slim Shady. Like, one of the kids looked legit like Eminem, like when he first came out, like Slim Shady when he first came out. And then the other daughter looks almost identical to Ruby Rose. It's like, that's like the second Ruby Rose clone that I've seen. I don't know if they are mass producing these actors in a laboratory and just unleashing them in Hollywood. But this is like the most another Ruby Rose, because you got the chick from Star Wars, the Mandalorian, Moff Gideon's crew. She looks like a generic budget, Ruby Rose. You got Ruby Rose herself, and now you got this chick. And I think I saw another Ruby Rose type looking character in another film. I just can't remember what, but it's like a lot of these chicks are getting the same Justin Bieber, hairstyle. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Anywho, but you got this kid that looks identical to Slim Shady. Like, I don't know if he can rap or whatever, but he looks identical with a real Slim Shady. Please stand up. Maybe he's like a, bastard child. Maybe he's a clone. He probably is a clone. They be cloning these dudes. So, maybe he's a failed clone. He doesn't have the artistic, linguistic, talents of a Slim Shady. But they should have threw a Slim Shady poster, because like he was DJing at the beginning of the film, so they should have thrown a Slim Shady poster on the wall somewhere. Maybe they couldn't. Maybe they intended to. They just couldn't get the rights. But yeah, he was DJing like he was about to drop bars. You know what I'm saying? And then they didn't really give him no lines. And then when he did speak, he was kind of sounded very effeminate. So it's more like, ooh, maybe he's non-binary, maybe he's trans. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's why. Anywho, but maybe his speech wouldn't have went along with his character or something. I don't know. Is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to talk, ish about anybody, any particular group. It just tickled me that this kid looks like Slim Shady. I like identical to the Marshall Mathers LP. 219 was in 99, 98. 2000, 2002 Slim Shady. But see, they had the shotgun reference, they had the chainsaw reference, the Deadite. They didn't say Deadite. They didn't even address it as a demon. They just said evil. But of course, anybody that's familiar with Evil Dead knows that they were dealing with a Deadite. So I don't know, maybe they could, for the next, films or whatever media that they decide to produce, whether it's another show or something, they could go into the lore of what a Deadite is, and how the Deadites, is it civil structure or cultural structure is, what makes a Deadite, what do Deadites do when they're not trapped in the book. They kind of touched on it in the Army of the Dead or Army of Darkness or whatever, but they really didn't, because Army of Darkness comes off as I don't know, because it just comes off as there's humans there, but the humans there are fighting dead. And then I don't know, it's weird. Army of Darkness was kind of weird. Anyway, oh shit. Anywho, but so they had the references, they had the cameras. Even the actress, by the end of the film, at a certain angle, when they're doing the Sam Raimi edit, I call it. There's a sequence in the end of the film that's very Sam Raimi-ish, and she looks almost exactly like Ash, like 1970s, 1980s Ash. Almost identical. If I was drunk, I would have thought, did they get old boy to come in and do a cameo for this one 2-second scene? Is that his daughter? She looks identical. I thought she was gonna lose a hand or something. It's she looks identical. So maybe they'll have a Evil Dead Avengers type deal where it's Ash and this chick and one of the poor kids from the other movie that didn't do so well come together, and they'll face off against the level 3 fucking Deadite horde or something, or they'll do a reboot of Army of Darkness where Ash gets sucked back into the book, and then he summons the other heroes from the other franchises of the Evil Dead, and then they have to fight their way back to the real world or something. I don't know. But he decides to stay this time because the princess was, the princess is hot. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, is the movie worth watching? Yes, the movie's worth my money. I paid money. Matter of fact, I had to pay for like 2 seats because they said if it was just me watching the movie, they would have like not shown it. So I went ahead and just bought, a couple of seats. It wasn't that expensive. It was just, 500 baht. It was all good. I need to get rid of the money in a way. But I enjoyed the film, and I was expecting to be disappointed because Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness is actually one of my favorite movies, especially one of my favorite guilty pleasure drunk movies. And I've been watching those ever since I was a kid. You see boobies take a shot. You see chick get stabbed that show boobies, you take a shot type of deal. Yeah, I mean, there ain't no boobies in this movie. Sad, but it's a lot of blood and a lot of gore though. Like I was like really surprised. And just the way that they rate stuff nowadays is like, I don't even think like the way, if you go back and you watch 70s, 80s movies, even early 90s movies, you show them films to like this generation of movie goers with all these pronouns and safe spaces, they would lose their mind. They would literally like melt. They would go into like that thing where people start shaking and foaming at the mouth. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and nowadays, like, yeah, and people were saying, I think in some of the reviews I saw, it's like, it's so bloody, it's so gory. It's like, did y'all not see the first one? The first one, even, it was all practical effects, and it was, I mean, the blood in this one is mostly, CGI blood, but the first one was pretty bloody for its time. But, I don't know, people, I don't know, it's just so weird. It's like, when art imitates life, I'm talking about Demolition Man, where Demolition Man talks about how society has shifted from the, people being machismo, happy He-Man, blow up the bad guy with a cigarette in your mouth grin, to not even being able to touch people in public. And here we are, post-COVID. You can't really touch people. You're supposed to kind of wear a mask. You're supposed to kind of wear gloves. You're supposed to kind of, do those things that, for the, for non-transmission of illnesses, viruses, etc., etc. Even though people don't do it, especially Western people don't do that. But here, people are still wearing masks. But then you also have smog, and you also, everything is so close. Like if somebody farts, you're gonna smell it. It's not like the West where everything's kind of like you have your personal space and then you have space on top of your personal space. But here everything is like really close together. So I kind of understand. But yeah, I mean, it's only so much I can say about this movie without spoiling it, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But if anybody was on the fence, like, man, I kind of want to go see it, but I don't know. I mean, it's a perfect date movie. First of all, let me say that. But I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have a significant other. I have to watch everything solo dolo, and I still enjoy it myself. So I'm just saying, it's worth the watch. I mean, if you want to wait for it to come out on streaming, make sure you have like the really good headphones so you can get all the ambient surround noises, because they have a lot of ambient noises like moans and groans and echoes that, unless you have good headphones, like a good studio headphones, dare I even say like noise canceling headphones that pick up all those little moans and groans and creaks and echoes that really add to the creepiness of the film. And it's a dark film too, and like, yeah, I mean, it's really good. I like it. I appreciate it. It's way better than the one, like the reboot that they tried to do that was PG-13. It was way better than that one. It was not funny. It wasn't funny. It wasn't your typical, oh, Bruce Campbell. That's his name. Bruce Campbell. I love that guy. It's not your typical. It's not like Bruce Campbell. It's not goofy at all. There's not even, and the only comedic The only comedic, what do you call it? Was it what do they call it when you inject some comedy to kind of diffuse, to give you the viewer a break of all the stress of watching the movie or whatever. But anyway, all the comedic stuff came from the actual Deadite. It wasn't none of the main characters. Like the main characters were just freaking out the entire time. You know what I'm saying? And this Deadite was the one that was trying to kind of sort of be funny. And even when it was kind of sort of trying to be funny, it was like really dark humor. And it was like, you chuckle, but you don't. It's not like Evil Dead where you were actually busting the gut laughing because it was so silly, like some of the stuff that they were doing and saying. But this one was like, yeah, that's fucked up. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you're just a dark soul, you'll probably like, have that guttural laugh. You'll be laughing from the belly at some fucked up shit, and people will be looking at you like, oh, this dude is fucking evil as shit. But that's about it. And then it's like, yeah, that's about it. That's pretty much all I can say without spoiling the fucking movie. So go watch it, enjoy it, go watch it, and you know what I'm saying. I hope my opinion, my opinion doesn't matter.